We are live, Neil.
All right. Hello, everybody. Beautiful family. How is everyone today? So excited to be with you all. And this is Joan and myself back with our live streams that we were doing for quite some time. Uh, and then we stopped. And then we paused. And then we went into production mode of creating some epic events together. Joan and I drilled out a lot. I was actually there on January 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of this year for 3 days, and we worked for like 12 to 13 hours a day. But even when we were sleeping, we were still working, kind of thing, where we literally drilled out like a bunch of fully produced conferences and events. And so we've been focusing on that. We took a pause on the interviews for a while just so that we could focus on our bigger picture plans of what we're doing and creating together. So here we are, we're back, and we're going to start having more guests on in the next few weeks. We even have Barbara Lamb, we have Kathleen Martin, and beyond that, even others. But today, I'm excited to say that we are starting with an individual that I'm extremely excited to introduce to this platform. That Joan is going to go into detail on her bio in just a bit, but I'll just give you this piece of information that I told you guys, but probably not everybody knows this. But for the last couple of years, I've been helping out the IANS Association, which is the International Association for Near-Death Studies, which is a nonprofit that does an annual event, and they normally do it live and in person, but for the last 2 years, because of the world situation, they went online. So they employed Portal to Ascension to do the production, and within that, I was blessed to have met a lot of amazing people and connected with new information that I wasn't even aware of. And these events were like epic, like literally like 4 Zoom rooms simultaneously running like 10 hours a day for like 3 to 4 days. And on the second year, it was like 5 days. And so within that, there was a few people that I had to write down because I just needed to connect with them. Their energy was amazing. And really, it was an energetic connection from the beginning, actually, is the reason why I decided to write a handful of people down. And one of the individuals is the first person. This individual that you're going to speak to today and see today is the first person that I felt that energy with at the conference, that I had to write her name down and bring her onto Portal to Ascension just to show you the amazing information that she shares and how beautiful of a person she is. And this is Christine Clawley. And I'm just going to hand it over to John first. Welcome, John. How you doing?
Oh my gosh. So, first of all, Neil, just to be back online again, I knew how much I missed it, but now I really know. I'm so excited to see everyone again. So, this is great, guys. Good to see you. We are in transformational times. Just want to mention that. And we do transformational work here. All right. So, we are going to be talking about mysticism, indigenous healing, and modern encounters with other dimensions. And our guest, Christine Clawley, you are going to love her. She is a near death experiencer, a counselor, and a life coach who has worked in a variety of capacities, including providing counseling and support at community mental health centers, hospitals, prisons, inpatient eating disorder clinics, homeless shelters, and telephone crisis support. So she is currently working in private practice. She has a Jungian practice, an in depth oriented practice to help clients heal from trauma, which these days is really important. And she supports other individuals who've had near death experience to help with their spiritually transformative experiences. So, her history after she had a life threatening disease at 24, she began her journey of self healing, self understanding through exploring various holistic techniques, including a mindfulness practice, meditation, yoga, self hypnosis, and indigenous healing modalities. She has received many dreams and messages. She went into a coma, medically induced coma for a month. And upon awakening from this coma, she had her increased intuition, empathy, and increased frequency of lucidity and precognitive dreams, which have led her to research these topics. So we're just really excited to bring Christine on. We're going to be talking about her upcoming event, and also talking about some other upcoming events that we have ongoing at Portal to Ascension. So, Christine, welcome.
Welcome, Christine.
Wow, thank you both so much. That was such a heartfelt introduction, and I just feel humbled to be here and have this opportunity to tell part of my story and hopefully inspire some others. So thank you both. This is so exciting.
You know, I find when I hear other people reading my bio that it actually really helps center me how other people see me and what I'm doing. And I get renewed excitement about myself. Well, it's true, you know. So,
Yep,
Christine, I just love this that modern encounters with other dimensions and your near-death experiences. Do you want to tell us how, like, a little bit about how you ended up, like, really now doing this work?
So I love this opportunity to tell a little bit more about why I'm interested in these topics, how my spiritual journey began, and really it goes back to I'll just kind of start with let's see. Around age 24, I was going through a very hard time in my life. So, as a young person, I was, had very vivid dreams. I was like a lot of children, had vivid imagination, grew up on a farm, and I did have parents that really kind of nurtured my, philosophical and spiritual curiosity, which was great. But I found myself kind of caught between these two worlds or these two ways of being, and in the first world, it's a very kind of right brain experience where I felt, profoundly connected to nature, just this sense of, aliveness. But then, I'm sure as many people can resonate with this, going through the educational system in school, I learned to suppress my natural intuition. I became very left brain. I learned to succeed in this system. I became kind of a type A person, if you will. And when I graduated from college, I, was planning on pursuing higher education, maybe going into academia. I was a double major in philosophy and psychology, but I was working and really feeling this sense of just, feeling lost, feeling a sense of, what direction do I go? Feeling a bit hopeless, depressed, to be honest. And I would have these reoccurring nightmares. These were very vivid dreams where I felt like I was being strangled in my sleep. And I had these repeated reoccurring nightmares, very vivid, for about 6 months. And the woman that appeared to me in these dreams was this indigenous looking woman with a lot of anger. I'll get into later what I think this meant on many different levels, but I would have this dream and I would wake up just feeling, kind of shocked, surprised, but I really didn't pay too much attention to it. So about 6 months later, I became very ill. I was overworking myself, and I thought I had the flu. And it was only 2 weeks I was without insurance. I went to the ER and I knew something was wrong. I knew in one way or another that this was serious. And they basically sent me home. And I felt like that was a death sentence. So I called my parents. I had them, they lived in Colorado Springs. I was living in Boulder, Colorado at the time. They took me to their home and I was in an altered state of consciousness for several days, just in a lot of pain, again, knowing that something was wrong, but not being sure what was wrong. And, during this time, I'm not sure how I stayed conscious and on this plane of existence, but I did. And then finally, this ring began to form around my neck. It all started with my throat. And all of a sudden, this ring went down very quickly, very rapidly. And my heart started pounding and I had trouble breathing. And I thought, this is it. I'm going to die. My mom called an on-call nurse. I was going into septic shock. They rushed me to the hospital. And when they brought me in, I had a collapsed lung. The doctors went to do a tracheotomy. And when they made the first incision, they realized, wow, this is something very serious. And they put me in a coma. And they realized I had necrotizing fasciitis, otherwise known as the flesh-eating bacteria, which is a very life-threatening illness. Normally, when folks get this, if it's not treated immediately, they may have to amputate limbs. But this was in my throat and my chest. So obviously that wasn't an option. So while and I apologize if, this is a bit too upsetting
No,
but there is a lesson, and there really is profound spiritual lessons from going through this experience that I integrated. But I was put in a medically induced coma. I had 3 big dreams, I remember, and these were dreams where it felt like I was living complete entire lifetimes. There's one dream in particular, which I'll just talk about briefly. I was an older Asian woman, maybe in my 40s, and was very depressed, kind of mirrors my state when I first had this illness. I was on this ship with other women, and we were human trafficking victims. And we couldn't talk to one another. We couldn't look at one another. And I had this profound sense of self-loathing because I was now bringing other women onto this ship. And I knew the pain and suffering from this life, and I didn't want to do that. Now, there was this moment in this dream where this beautiful young girl walks up to me, we lock eyes, and it changes the whole atmosphere of the dream. Finally, there's this sense of hope, of someone understanding my pain. And then everything changes from that point, and we begin not only making plans to liberate ourselves, but helping others. And so that was a major transition in my healing. And later I learned that there were moments where I actually woke up from the coma, locked eyes with my sister. That's who this woman was in my dream. And I believe she's, a major reason I decided to stay, along with some other reasons. But once I awoke from the coma, I was very confused. I was having flashes of what I would consider past life, or maybe other simultaneous lives. I'm not sure, what framework to talk about that, but it was very overwhelming. But I was left with this incredible will to live. Even though I was on a breathing tube, I could not talk, could not eat on my own, couldn't lift my head. And I never knew if I would ever be able to be a, quote unquote, normal person again. So when I awoke, my parents asked the doctors, and they later said, your daughter had a 1% chance of surviving this, given where the infection was and the severity of it. So when I woke up from that experience, the first step of the journey was physical healing. And I learned incredible lessons about this balance between putting in the effort, to get better, but also letting go and surrendering. Joan, were you going to comment?
Well, I find this really fascinating. So I'm just really fascinated, and how it's leading to your work today.
Yes. So the physical challenge was really the first step. There were days where it was demoralizing. I tried to learn to breathe, and then I had a heart attack because of the stress my body had been through. I was down to 80 some pounds. I couldn't swallow to eat food, and my voice was just a tiny whisper. So, connecting with others, learning the importance and the value of voice, that's been a major theme throughout all of this. But so in addition, once I began to heal, and the love and support from the nurses, the doctors, my friends, family, all of this meant so much. I could not have healed and I would not be where I am without the help of all these people and kind strangers. So after regaining some strength, I found that I had these new abilities, heightened sense of intuition. It was like my boundaries had been completely dissolved between myself and others, and I could just feel, the pain or the suffering of others, or I had, very accurate intuitions about things that were going on with people that I loved. And then I also began having precognitive dreams, which made me feel like I was going crazy, to be honest. I questioned, why this was happening. How could I possibly dream something and then see it occur in such incredible detail? So this began my search, essentially. I felt incredibly drawn to Native American spirituality, philosophy, literature, largely based upon some of the dreams I had. And then just this intense, curiosity and burning desire to find answers, to what I was experiencing. So this led me to, study shamanism, find some incredible teachers that I've been so lucky to find on my path. And it also led me to going to School of Pacifica in California, where I was able to study Jungian psychology. And when I found Jung and realized, wow, there's someone in this field who actually talks about these experiences and in a way that is meaningful, that doesn't pathologize these experiences. So this has been a main mission of my work, is depathologizing these types of experiences. Also exploring the gifts of trauma, because people are so resilient. This was looking from the outside in, this was such an awful experience, but without that experience, I would not be on the path that I am today. And I would never take it back, because it's been so essential for my spiritual growth. And I actually celebrate, every year the anniversary of, the day I should have died and passed into that realm. So that's a little bit of my story.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. After this experience happened, because you said you had some remembrance, you saw yourself in a past life, you saw yourself in multiple past lives, right?
I believe multiple past lives, yes.
Did it continue happening, or was that experience like the download of basically that activation, and then after that you just went on exploration, or are you continuing to get these downloads?
I believe that I continue to get these different kind of downloads, and it's like I get a little bit more information, each time, and it's like fitting puzzle pieces together. You begin to see more and more of a complete picture. And even now, I've made a connection with someone in Boulder who lived in the apartment that I lived in next door 20 years earlier. And we have discovered that we've had shared dreaming experience for many, many years. So it's not just, individual precognitive dreams, but we're all connected somehow. And this is what really fascinates me.
How does that work, the shared dream? So were you just talking about your dreams to this person and they happen to have the similar dreams or same?
So it's through synchronicity, but something which is a new term to me. And I believe Eric Wargo, he's written a book called Time Loops and Precognitive Dreaming. And he talks about a concept called calendrical resonance, where certain events with a similar theme seem to happen at these key times. So that was initially how we connected. And then when we began, because we both document our dreams religiously, we began to see, oh my goodness, there's all of these incredible patterns. And it's like, a web of connectivity. So it's really fun.
That's pretty interesting, because that certainly is this interdimensional experience, and like teaching about that. So do you teach about lucid dreaming? How do you teach about connecting within these interdimensional levels or recognizing them?
Absolutely. So I am a licensed therapist and also a life coach. So, but again, my lens is Jungian oriented, which means, the spiritual and the material world are connected, and most, how do I say, most scientific or social science, there's this clear division between the spiritual and the material or that which is testable. But I try to blend these things if clients are open. Of course, I'm always respectful of clients' beliefs, but if they are open to this information, we do dream work, which is so profound. I mean, that is your soul literally talking to yourself from a higher, wiser perspective. So the benefits are just incredible, and it's transformative. It's life-changing to finally open up to this information and yeah, use it.
Is there a specific type of therapy that you do? And so is the therapy open for everyone, and a lot of mainstream people that maybe aren't into the spiritual realm come and see you, and then you just kind of sense the energy to see if they're open to go further? And what type of therapy is it exactly too?
Absolutely. So I do a lot of mind-body connection work, so kind of somatic therapy. There's something called active imagination, which is bringing the dream alive, and really kind of beginning to have a dialogue with these different figures, these different symbols that appear. I also encourage folks to look at dreams from multiple different perspectives. I think there's different types of dreaming. Some dreams that can be precognitive, some that can be inspirational, some can be warning. Other dreams, I do believe, are real experiences where our consciousness is interacting with other consciousnesses. So it really depends where the person is at. But I love working with this type of dream work and spiritual connection. Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like you're also working with people with near-death experiences to help them. I mean, I can imagine the trauma of somehow waking up one day and discovering you're hearing things, you're seeing things, you're experiencing other beings. So I can imagine that would be considered traumatic. I mean, I want that to happen to me, but I can imagine that it's a little overwhelming. So that must be part of your work then.
Absolutely. So again, whether it be a near-death experience or traumatic experiences, whether it be, and this may sound strange, but there's so much childhood abuse, domestic violence, and I do believe if we can, I mean, it's very important to honor the seriousness of those experiences, but if we can begin to look at the growth, the inner strength, the resiliency, the lessons, it's just profoundly healing for people. And I've worked with individuals who've had psychotic episodes which have not been spiritual or healing, but being able to understand the stresses that cause those types of breaks and really being strength-based. I mean, I can't tell you how much that helps, because so many of these systems disempower the individual by labeling them, by saying, you're mentally ill, you're crazy. But I don't think that language is appropriate, because just because someone is having an experience that's a little bit different doesn't mean they don't have a right to talk about it, to have a voice, to function in society, to get support. So I really do my best to honor all types of experiences. And when we do that, when we talk about and acknowledge the things that are difficult, there can be incredible shifts that happen. I really believe in the power of telling our own stories, telling our experiences, owning them. That shifts things so much, to just have a compassionate witness.
Right.
So
let me ask you a question on that, of telling the story. As I've been in this spiritual community for quite some time, I've heard things like, it's good to share your story, but then I also heard that you get to a point where if you might be sharing the story and kind of reinforcing it. So is there a cutoff point of when you do not tell the story anymore?
I love that question. I love that question, because I think it's like history, right? We think that history is, or the past is static, and we have a certain knowledge of this is the way it is. But maybe every time we tell the story or we change or evolve or tell it from a new perspective, that changes the past in some ways. So maybe as we tell our stories, there's a shift in the narrative, there's a shift into empowerment or owning, our maybe participation in something that was difficult. In many cultures, they talk about shamanic initiation, and that often involves some degree of, pain, danger, facing fears, intentionally, surrendering to suffering. And these things can, again, widen our perspective, increase our sense of compassion and empathy. So love that question, but I guess I want to say stories are dynamic. They're always changing. And so paying attention to, yes, am I telling the same story with just, the same language and it feels dead, or is there something more to it? Is there an aliveness to it?
Yeah. I'll just add to that real quick is that because I kind of felt what I was saying was the reality of it all. Like you share until you don't share. But now I kind of shifted it from what you just said, because I feel that it's almost that once you're like healed from it or have some sort of healing, you can share it to inspire and help others understand the traumas and how how you shifted out of them. Right. It doesn't have to be emotionally triggered.
Right.
Right.
It becomes a teaching lesson
Mm-hmm.
in a sense, because that's what your story is. It's also a teaching lesson for all of us in what's possible. Now, I know you teach a lot about this too, right? We have an upcoming event that you're going to be sharing a lot of your wisdom and your research.
Yes. And let me pull up the event page, and if you want to go into it a bit.
Yeah, we want to hear
sure.
kind of a little bit about what we're going to expect on this.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you. So what I'm attempting to do with this lecture is show that there is this common thread throughout time, history, across cultures, where a direct experience of the spiritual or of the numinous or these other worlds is not only sought, but possible and experienced. And we are living in a time right now where scientific materialism dominates our thinking. If science doesn't test and prove, if I can't see, feel, touch it, it doesn't exist. But what's so interesting is, we are living in a kind of renaissance in a way where people are having near-death experiences, spiritually transformative experiences. Science is also recognizing that potential healing power of psychedelics. So there is this recognition that there is something more, that you can't discount all of these individuals' experiences. And with that kind of paradigm shift, we're beginning to look at the past, I think, differently. And so there's all these traditions who, it's almost as if, I was just talking about storytelling. And when a story becomes so literal that we're just focused on, the descriptions, the rules, the dogma, it does in a sense kind of lose its spirit. It loses that life to it. But when we look back at some of these other religions, spiritual traditions with different consciousness, perspective, or eyes, you begin to see, the universal messages and these common themes. And so what I'm attempting to do is talk about, shamanism, the Greek mystery schools, Eastern religions, and then, also another important thing, which I don't think is talked about enough, the pitfalls of the spiritual search. So in the second part of the lecture, I'm going to go through, the first part, I'm going to go through the history. The second part, I'm going to talk a little bit about, inflation, the God complex or Messiah complex. And I'm not immune from these things either. After I had my experience and found I had some of these abilities, you kind of wonder, like, gosh, what's happening? And certainly we all do have, God or the divine within us, but how can that distort the search? How can that be a stumbling block? And then how does one begin to, connect with others who are also on the spiritual search? Because obviously there's so much to learn from listening to others and hearing about others' experiences. But again, when we get into these rigid organizations or kind of pyramidal structures of authority, the message seems to get lost again, and then we're stuck in these same power dynamics. So that's what the second part of the lecture is going to talk about a little bit, and then we'll do some experiential exercises as well.
I really like how you're pointing out that we live in this, quote, logical, mentally oriented time. And yet the only approach for peace, harmony, balance is from this intuitive, shamanic, interdimensional, lucid awakening. It's such a personal, like we have to come back down to this personal place inside of us to be part of this global awakening.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And Jung talked about the anima and animus, so, the inner feminine and inner masculine in all of us. And, we've been living in this world that obviously is a little bit overvaluing, the masculine, and we do need a balance. We do need a recognition of, those feminine qualities are just as important for both men and women. And Jung also talked about when we're too focused in the left brain, logical, linear, that we lose a sense of wonder, a sense of mystery, but also, a part of our soul in a way, because there is so much more. And
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I really like what you said about the whole Messiah complex, because it's mentioned in like when people are hanging out with each other and they're probably speaking about someone, but to speak about the actual phenomena, if you will, that is occurring. And that's I've witnessed that in plant medicine experiences too, because when you're told you're God, you can go one of two ways.
Well, it is true. It is true. And I've had the same experience where I woke up in a vision that I realized that I had violated spiritual law, and I found myself an untouchable in India for many lifetimes out of that egoic experience of, oh my God, I'm God, And so it's all in the way we learn how to handle our connections.
Yes, and integrating can be extremely hard. I mean, my experience was 14 years ago, but I'm still integrating and looking at that experience through different eyes. So
right,
yeah,
right, because it's a lifetime process, and you were born for this. Is what you were born for. All of those experiences, the disease that you had, the injury, the condition was all meant to bring you right here today on our show to talk about how we can help people understand their own awakening, basically, in their own connection. So there's many ways to get to this place, this interdimensional connection, without plant medicine. But do you talk about that as one of the ways also?
Yes, I mean, for thousands of years, indigenous cultures have known, and had an intimate relationship with different kinds of medicines. And obviously, again, there's pitfalls with anything and potential for abuse and addiction. But there are absolutely, other ways that are just as profound and powerful. And meditation, self-hypnosis is one, active dream work. I'm big into I would call it a practice of synchronicity, or, conscious dreaming while you're awake, which is paying attention to the different unique experiences that show up in your life, and having kind of a dialogue with, what is coming up in me? What am I feeling? What is this, trying to reveal or show to me? And I truly feel honored to be a counselor, because I do consider it sacred work, being completely present with another human being, allowing them to talk about their experiences in a safe place. And I am just as much changed and touched by, their experiences and their healing as they might be me. So it's really been just incredible. I feel really
Yeah,
lucky to be doing what I'm doing.
definitely. And then the trust that they put in you, right? To because a lot of in therapy, a lot of individuals may have not shared these stories with anyone else, even the close people to them. So they're really putting a lot of trust and vulnerability in you, and you have to
Right,
honor that, right?
right.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And probably they don't get recognized, Neil, by their family or friends who
Right.
are freaked
I've been
out
there. Yeah.
by their sudden awakening
Mhm.
that looks like they're in, they're loony as opposed to the fact that they're really tapping into. So I think this sounds like a very exciting event. I'm really
Yes.
excited that you're presenting in that kind of way for all of us as a guide.
Right, and let me
Very,
just tell everybody really quick how to get there.
oh
You can go to
yeah,
portaltoascension.org. I shared the event page. And so, what we're talking about here is we're talking about Christine's life and her journey, and then also mysticism and other dimensions, and basically shamanistic information that she's kind of acquired, researched, and delved deep into since her awakening and her NDE experiences. So, if you're interested in signing up for the event, go to portaltoascension.org, go to online events, and it's like the fourth or fifth one down. It's on the first page. Mysticism. It's called Mysticism, Indigenous Healing, and Modern Encounters with Other Dimensions, and that's on March 6th. So go ahead and check that out right there. And we'll
I
share
want
this
to point
in
out.
a bit. Yeah.
So yes, go and sign up right there. We're in the time of Pisces.
Mhm.
So I just have to tell you, as a Pisces, and Tina is a Pisces, this is really exciting. This is our realm of that Piscean consciousness.
So I
And oh, go
oh, go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead, Christine. I had another question, but go ahead and comment first.
Well, I was just going to say on that note too, it's so interesting. I mean, this time that we're living in, it just seems like on so many different levels, socially, economically, environmentally, technologically, it's kind of like we're beginning to see how much we're connected and the full consequences of what we're doing. And even though it may look like this is a hopeless situation and we can't turn this around, I really challenge that
Hmm.
kind of thinking because it's an incredible opportunity, us facing our, this existential reality of, we need to collectively evolve, realize we're all one and connected, or there is going to be potentially more death and suffering. We have, the power to destroy the world how many times over with our arms. If we can collectively understand that, I mean, I think I believe in humanity. I believe in individuals. And I believe that this time is really waking us up to how much we all are connected, not only
Yes.
with each other, but with the earth. And this is a powerful time. I can understand people feeling afraid and scared, but there's incredible lessons to be gained. And this can be a really beautiful time of people coming together and embracing these ancient, this ancient wisdom.
Yes.
You're
Yes.
so no, you're so right. And I've been telling people we are in the grand initiation. You either these are the times for which we're born. This is not this is true. And it's our grand initiation, and we have an
Mhm.
opportunity to either freak out and descend or really call in the powers and so that we came here for.
Right.
And
Right.
so I love that, you're teaching those skills that really help us go inside because that's where the answers are. They are not out here.
Hmm.
So I'm very grateful you had your awakening, and in a way, grateful that you had all those experiences. And that's for all of us. Every experience that got us here is
Hmm.
part of our transformation in the
And we
end.
all have a different part of the puzzle. We're all incredibly special and powerful, yet everyone, is equal and everyone has their own uniqueness and beauty
Yeah.
and power.
It's interesting because like I went through some hardcore traumas that I would not want anybody to go through, any child to go through. That literally is the reason why I created Portal to Ascension. And I didn't even know for the first like 10 years, the first like 7, 8 years of doing Portal to Ascension, I wasn't even really aware why I created it. It was just like, oh, I'm curious. I want to know what the root of everything is. But then I started realizing that I was just on a journey to find out a modality that will help me heal the traumas that I had acquired. And as I did that, I started creating events, exploring it. And it wasn't just events on experiences, but it was also understanding our ancient history. So, which is very paradoxical because part of it is being present, how to be present in this moment and enjoy life for what it is and enjoy the fact that you exist. And I like to say this a lot. How do we love ourselves for the fact that we exist rather than what we do? Right?
Right.
Like,
Right.
whoa, like we always like I for a long time held a lot of love and appreciation for myself because of what I've created. But I would love to just love myself whether I create it or not, you know? So,
Well,
and the paradox is we're learning from our history and indigenous wisdom to get the tools to be present in this moment.
right, right. And to see that we're not our bodies. This is just a bodysuit. Neil, we're a collection of atoms and soul energy that took on these bodies to entertain, like to really do what we came here to do.
Hmm.
So interesting. Well, I like the body that each of you chose. And the one I chose, it's like, okay, let's acknowledge our souls knew what it was planning to do when we got here and picked even the most perfect bodies, families, health, you know, the whole thing. It's been set up for each of us to do it. So guys,
Yeah.
I'm just excited that so I love going interdimensional. I love what you're doing, the concept of it. And guys, it's coming up very, very soon. So make sure you really go and sign up for the event. You don't want to miss what Christine has to say
And I
because
do have another question. I want to go back to something that we spoke about earlier, and then let's talk about the NDE conference as well.
oh
Right,
yeah.
John, before we close out. But you talked about dreams earlier, and I heard something there, and I wanted to ask you. You were talking about what is your own consciousness or like subconscious, as opposed to what is actual messages and interactions, or even a past life experience, right? So, are there tools to help decipher that? And do you do that with people,
Oh, that's a great question. Um,
or it could be intuition too?
I always, again, being a therapist, I just want to recognize there are power dynamics, and often people are looking to me to answer a question, and my goal is to try to give that power back to that person and reflect back so that they can find that inner wisdom themselves, because it's so much more powerful when we are the ones who discover it,
Mhm.
right? Rather than someone just giving it to us. So I can certainly hold space, and there's different ways, certainly different tools, I think, in terms of discerning. And I think that involves, body awareness. Our emotions are powerful tools. For so long, too long, we've pathologized emotions, especially in the West, be strong, be stoic, or just be happy all the time. And if you have any other emotion that's wrong or negative, and just, don't look at that. But no, these emotions, if we can just be with them, the sadness, the anger, whatever it is, will reveal, a message. What is it I'm truly angry about? Can I listen to that? Can I be compassionate with what it is that I'm feeling? Because that's, I guess, the message I want to bring. Every experience has lessons of learning. And I do think that this earth is a school, and we're trying to learn, to love and, to be human beings, and kind of detach. I love what you said, Neil, from this idea that we have to prove ourselves, or we have to be productive and, work this hard or have this kind of status, because ultimately that's empty. And I think a lot of people are waking up to that fact. And that's a gift of the times we're living in, that people are wanting more. They are reflecting on, well, what if my life were to end tomorrow? Would I be happy? Or are there things that I'm not saying to my loved ones? Is there more than that I want to do than what I'm doing now? And I just think, yeah, this is a really powerful time, on the individual and collective level.
Definitely. All right. So, John, should we go into talking about the NDE conference now? All right, let's do
I
it.
want to hear about it.
Okay, let's do it. So, firstly, let me just say again to all the people just tuning in now, and I also want to say hello to everybody on our podcast, because this is also
Right.
going on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, a bunch of other places. And I want to acknowledge all of you watching on these platforms because I really appreciate it. If you want to see the video, always come to the YouTube. And to everybody on YouTube, if you can go to the Portal to Ascension radio podcast on iTunes or whatever and leave a comment and review us, we'll get seen by more people. I really need some support in pushing that platform and getting it out to the masses. So you can do that on any of your podcast platforms. So not only are we talking about this event that's coming up on March 6th, which is next weekend, a week from today, exactly a week from today, with
Yes.
Christine. Yep, that's going to be amazing. And in case you didn't hear me in the beginning, I connected her with her at the Narrative Experiencer conference I was helping produce, and really tuned into her energy and just wanted to create with her. So not only are we doing this event together, but she's also going to be on the first ever NDE ADC conference on Portal to Ascension. And I'll tell you what that is in just a second here. And if you could help me pull this up in a moment, Tina, let's do this. So I wanted to create a conference on NDCs and NDEs and ADCs for quite some time. And what that is near-death experiences and after-death communication. And I've just never really had the energy to put it together. Well, I've had the energy, I just haven't had the bandwidth because I'm creating all these other productions of deeply esoteric awareness. And but then I've been following this very closely and obviously working with IANS for 2 years. And the third year, I'm working with them this year too. We're probably going to be in Salt Lake City. Hopefully, it's a live event. We'll be doing it there as well. So I've been just like acquiring a lot of information, editing videos of like 60 people with like 1 to 3 hour presentations every single year. You're bound to pick up on some of this information, you know. So as I did that, I felt that it was time to put one of these events on Portal to Ascension. Plus, I've also been following the mainstream media, and now the mainstream media has been completely agreed with the fact that NDEs exist, and mainstream scientific research studies. I forget the number, but it was a certain number out of every 10 NDEs are actually verified by clinic, like in a clinical setting and in with peer-reviewed scientists saying that these individuals are having out-of-body experiences when they have their NDEs. They're seeing things that they shouldn't. They're meeting their loved ones. They're seeing their bodies when they're completely out cold. There was even a whole segment on CBS about it. And now it's become this whole thing that consciousness is no longer just in the brain. They completely realize that consciousness is beyond our minds and our brains. And this isn't just within the spiritual esoteric community. NDE awareness, ADC after death communication has completely been adopted by the mainstream over the last 2 to 3 years. And it's getting to a point where this is just going to be the norm for the next generation, that this happens. And as this happens and we start getting some of these stories and testimonies out of what is occurring, what is the next step? It's just going to give us a larger awareness of who we are, what we are, and what we're doing on this planet, and how we interact with these other dimensions. So that was a long explanation of basically getting to what I'm showing you here, which is the first ever psychology, science, and evidence behind after-death communication and near-death experiences. And this is a free event because I want to get it out to people and really want to ride the wave of having everybody understand that this is real. So not only can you sign up for the Zoom room, register by donation, but we're going to be live on like 3 different YouTubes, 5 different social media accounts. So we're going to have hopefully thousands of people tuning into this event. And I'm just going to read from this, and then I want to give it over to Christine so you can kind of share what you're going to be talking about. And I'm going to take a moment to read from this just because it kind of really brings it all together. So join us for this deep dive exploration in which we'll explore after-death communications and near-death experiences from psychologists, researchers, experiences themselves. This all-day event will shed light on this phenomena. Someone who has an after-death communication will see, hear, or feel the presence of a deceased friend or relative in their own space. These ADCs are unassisted and spontaneous, not involving psychics, mediums, or therapists. The communication experience is one of comfort and often ending the pain from the loss. NDEs are triggered during singular life-threatening episodes when the body is injured. About 1 in 10 patients, here it is, about 1 in 10 patients with cardiac arrest in a hospital setting undergo such an episode. Thousands of survivors of these harrowing touch and go situations tell of leaving their damaged bodies behind and encountering a realm beyond everyday existence, unconstrained by the usual boundaries of space and time. These powerful mystical experiences can lead to permanent transformation of their lives Scientific American. Wow. This is like mainstream, guys, you know?
Mainstream.
So let me just show you who's going to be here. Of course, Christine will be there, Robert Schwartz, Mark Anthony, Rebecca Austin Clausen, Rosemary Thornton, Jan Holden, Serena Baptista, and Dr. Mary Helen Hensley, all of which I was introduced to because I had the opportunity to work with the IONS Association. And so, yeah, please do not only go ahead and sign up for this event that we're talking about, the Mysticism event, on the first page of the online events on Portal to Ascension, but if you go to the next page, this will be there too. And this is a free event for all of you to attend. So
I think
let's
that's fantastic. I'm very excited. I'm very excited about it because it's a different group of speakers coming from the psychological, other perspectives, and validating what many of us experiencers have known forever. So I really like that. I think we're bringing both those worlds together. Listen, when mainstream is talking about the near-death experiences and being able to connect with your departed loved ones, we have a new paradigm here on the planet.
Exactly.
Right? Ascension 101 is happening.
Right. So Christine, why don't you tell us what you think about this topic, right? And then what you're going to speak on.
Well, it just fills my heart to hear you read the description and how, just like you said, Joan, these two different perspectives are meeting in the middle. They're coming together. They're validating each other. And I've had so many, clients have experiences, incredible experiences of, after death communication, dreaming of loved ones. I had a personal experience, a very profound experience where I experienced a shared crossing of a very close, dear friend of mine. That was life transforming. I do have spontaneous experiences. And again, some people who are very skeptical would, of course, disagree with the legitimacy. But when someone has an experience like that, it's almost always incredibly meaningful, healing. And so again, looking at what is the consequence, what follows these type of experiences. And it's really important to acknowledge them and listen to what people are saying rather than trying to, discount anything that doesn't fit in line with this narrow theory of reality. I think we're beginning to expand, our concept of reality, the universe, consciousness, and this is going to open up, so many things. So very exciting time. And I'll be bringing in, some of my personal experiences, some of the research I've done, and, hopefully bring some tools to people to begin to open up and connect with their loved ones. So.
Excited for this.
Me too.
I'm extremely excited for this. Actually, I can't even really begin to tell you because it's just a phenomenal situation that's occurring right now. And someone told me this the other day because for a long time in my awakening, I've been waiting for big milestones of jumping in awareness. And someone said to me that, well, things that we're coming out with now, like let's talk about UFOs and extraterrestrials existing, for example, NDEs and awareness. It's just coming out now that everybody that is being born, incarnated in this moment, is their normal, right? Just like
Yes.
the internet. I mean, a lot of people that are over like a little older than me and beyond, they were around when there was no internet, and it wasn't like all of a sudden something's changed. Even though it happened in a short period of time, every single year just became the new normal that they implement into their life. So I really feel that because this is coming out now and it's going to be spoke about on a regular basis, that the next generation doesn't need some sort of milestone awakening in regards to it. It will just be in the textbook. It'll just be what we know as how our world exists.
Absolutely. And I mean, just to think, even 10 years ago, people who, tried to speak about, having a UFO experience or, after death communication or, psychic intuitions in the mainstream media, these people were laughed at, called crazy, criticized. I mean, there's been this kind of bullying, judgmental tone, that the media kind of took on with anything outside this very narrow range of what's
Yes.
acceptable. And look how far, we've come. People can talk about these experiences. Mainstream news is paying attention and reporting. People, on the insides of all different industries and fields are finally feeling like, okay, I can talk about this and I'm not going to lose my job, or this isn't going to compromise my reputation. And I think, we're a better society for being able to openly have all kinds of discussions. I mean, this is what helps us learn, grow, and evolve, is honoring all different types of experiences rather than saying, no, that can't be right, you must be crazy. That's gaslighting. So instead, looking at, well, why is this happening? What's behind this phenomena? So it's really exciting.
Very exciting, and especially given what's going on in the world outside today, these tools of really being able to have our own source of wisdom and information that is only comes from our own higher self or our guides is really, I just think that it's the only way to really understand what's going on and handle and be part of the solution and not the problem.
Yeah. I love what Omar said right here. My kids have not known the earth without humans being in space. Yeah. So
Oh my God. That is so interesting. But humans were never in space when I was born.
yeah.
I never even thought of that. Well, right. Okay, Omar, mind-boggling, new paradigm.
Yeah, and empathy. I mean, I think all of us is really forcing us to expand our sense of identity, to be able to empathize with someone who looks different, speaks a different language, lives in another country. That's the other benefit of the internet. We are, I mean, of course, there's pitfalls, again, with anything, but it's an incredible opportunity for us to, increase our ability to empathize with others, to identify with the whole human family rather than just my, immediate clan.
So the whole human family lives on this planet Earth. And it's amazing that we're able to all come together from all places on the planet to talk about just shifting, stepping into our own power, going into these realms. The veils are thin. So this is a perfect time to be of service to this beautiful planet we live in.
Definitely. So we're going to close out in a few. And Joan, when we close out, do you want to just set a collective intention for us as we, as we
Yes,
close the
let's set
session
it.
out? But
Yes.
let's ask Christine, do you want to share anything else about your work? I know you said you're doing an ongoing documentary, your website, where people can connect with you.
Sure. My websites are lucidawakening.com. That's where I have my coaching and counseling business. And then circlinghawkproductions with an S.com gives a little bit of information about the synchronicity documentary that I'm working on as well. So thank you. And I hope you join me for next weekend, that lecture, and then the Near Death Experience Conference. And just thank you both so much again for inviting me on. This has been really wonderful to be a part of this, and I'm so grateful for the work that both of you are doing as well.
Happy to have you, Christine. This is really exciting, and that's what Ascension's about,
It's us coming together and sharing all this awareness so we can uplift humanity and truly remember who we are, and then truly step into the power that we all have,
It's true. Very, very true. What else are we showing?
That's it. Did you guys see I just showed the website. Did you guys see that?
Perfect.
It up? Yeah, cool.
So guys, you now know where you can register, but let's kind of take a moment and take a deep breath in and let it out. And again, taking a deep breath in and letting it all out. And as we breathe out, letting go of anything that stands in the way of us remembering who we are, of us connecting with our higher self, with our interdimensional guides, with our departed loved ones. Let's let go of anything that keeps us from experiencing the higher frequencies of love as we collectively step into this portal of ascension, this portal of transformation, this portal of opening up those curtains and having unlimited potential, unlimited possibilities, and doing that which we came here to the planet to do. So we ask for remembrance, awakening, and healing. And so it is, and we'll see you all at this upcoming event.
So it is. Thank you so much, Christine. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
all.
Christine. We love you. Wow. So Neil, that was really powerful.
Excited for her to be on multiple events of Portal to Ascension. And let me just say, since we're still on, we have a lot of new people coming up, guys. Being on YouTube and different events at the Portal to Ascension conference, which is a free one coming in April. And then Joan and I are doing. You want to go ahead and mention those events we're doing, Joan?
Well, first of all, we have ET races, planets, and technology, which
March
was
26th.
another part of Neil's consciousness. Now he's saying, okay, I want to know more about how they're traveling and really what the planet looks like and the concrete, like more concrete information. So we have that coming up soon, the end of March, March 26th, I think. We have the 3-day online conference, right? That's free. And the day after that, guys, I am doing an event on intuition. Intuition is your superpower, because what's been coming to me is that when we all came in at the beginning of time, the beginning of our soul travel on this planet, we were given a clipboard, an assignment of some of the things we're to do. And when I teach this class, we're going to reawaken your memory to what's on that clipboard, that assignment, that role that we say you were born for this. This is the time for your, this is your time. Well, your instructions are encoded right within you. So in that class, Neil, we're going to talk about it.
Yep. And then we also have the Crystal Skulls Conference and the Kundalini Online Conference that are things that Joan and I are working on together. A bunch of amazingness too. But just go to portaltoascension.org, check out the online events there, and there's a lot available. So do check it out. And if you haven't signed up to portaltoascension.org, you can just go there, sign up on the homepage, and you get a username and password emailed to you, and you get access to 3,000 hours of free presentations on so many different topics with amazing speakers, sorted very efficiently by speaker and topic and all that. And you'll also get updates on what we're doing. So check it out, portaltoascension.org. Love you all.
And you know what's amazing, Neil? You continue, like you may have 3,000 hours right now, free hours, but you continue to do all sorts of events that just awaken consciousness for people.
Yeah, and I've been saying 3,000 hours for the last 6 months, so it's more like 3,500 now, But
well, I was trying to let everyone know that it's massive, the amount of material that we're coming out with all the time. Right. And guys, you can find
10,000 hours. Let me just say this, because then you got me on one. There's 10,000 hours of presentations altogether, and there's around 3,500 that you get immediately by signing up. So there's a lot of content. It is a one-stop shop for consciousness. That is the download that I got, is to create a one-stop shop for not only the awakening of people that are just waking up now, like, oh my God, I've been lied to, or oh my God, I'm a spiritual being. Let me figure out more. Go to Portal to Ascension, start from scratch, learn. Or you're a next level teacher of this new paradigm. Go to Portal to Ascension, take your awareness to the depths of the intellectual understanding and the spiritual experience, so that you can be the teacher that you're destined to be for this age that is now emerging.
Right. And that's the whole key. So guys, if you go to my website, joanofangels.com, I have a free ebook all about how to live your soul, how to wake up to your soul-filled purpose, which is what we're talking about. All of this, by the way, it's so funny. I feel like a promo here, but if I think about why you started Portal to Ascension, Neil, like it was all to answer all of your questions. So now we have 10,500 hours of questions. So I'm just excited, guys. I'm excited to be to be helping out here. So this is good. And we're going to be back in 2 weeks on our interviews, back on Tuesdays around 3:00 Pacific. Every 2 weeks, we'll be doing our interviews and introducing you to upcoming speakers on Portal to Ascension.
Love you all.
Yeah. Love you all. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye for now.